Today's video is going to be titled 3.5 was always doomed. And this came to me, a realization and enlightenment, when I was in the midst of making my last video, where I realized, right, Heistlands and Saridra is incredibly similar to a patch that we had in version 2. And ironically, coincidentally, this 2.4 patch matches up perfectly with what 3.5 is supposed to represent in version 3, right? Because in version 3, the patches are one patch ahead, right? We had the Annie in Pentagony for 2.1, while in Amphorius it was 3.2, where we had the Annie with Cassian and Oxa. So everything has been pushed one patch forward for version 3. And so this means the equivalent of 3.5 would have been 2.4. And the weird thing about this is that, one, right, we have Heistlands, who is a DPS who kind of revives an older niche, but she isn't really meant to be like a top meta contender, such as probably March, Phanon, and as well as Cassie. And this is exactly what Yun Li was. Yun Li is probably the most overwhelming main DPS in Pentagony, because she wasn't really made to be like a top contender, this huge lore relevant character. She was instead just kind of a filler, patch character that people could just enjoy, right? It's someone you pull for because you like them and not really because of their meta capability. And this is already weird, but then you add on to this, after Yun Li in the same patch was Jiaoqiu, one of the craziest betas that we've ever had in a long time, in the history of the game, because this was someone who was basically meant and only built to be best in slot for one character, one emanator, which was Acheron. And this is exactly what Saridra is going through right now as well. How weird is it that Yun Li and Jiaoqiu are basically just different characters, being Heistlands and Saridra, while representing the exact same thing in 3.5. Saridra is a character being fully dedicated towards only Phanon and no one else. And even before this, right? If we want to compare Phanon to Firefly, Phanon is in 3.4, Firefly was in 2.3. This is the equivalent. Firefly and Phanon are technically on the exact same patch, respective to their versions. And after 3.5, we are getting March and Dan Heng, the next and last main DPS for version 3 that's actually lore relevant, right? And alongside this, a sustain. And what do you know matches this perfectly, and everything else I've mentioned prior perfectly? Well, that would be Fei Xiao and Ling Sha, right? Fei Xiao and Ling Sha were in 2.5, which is the equivalent to 3.6 in version 3. So it is quite clear that Hoyo is taking inspiration from their older patches in terms of what they do. And this goes back to some of my older videos where I mentioned how Cyrene is being built up as this last patch support generalist, no different to Sunday or Ruan Mei, even though those two characters still have a, bias towards the niche they want to support. This only furthers my point that Cyrene will almost for sure be the RMC upgrade with true damage, action advance, all that good stuff, but at the same time, she will be made in mind with her niche and the future version 4 characters that she'll support in the long run, right? So, TLDR, 3.5, Saridra and Heistlands were basically always doomed. It seems like this is something that Hoyo plans to do consistently to have a filler niche support and a filler niche DPS as a kind of throwaway patch in the midst of, you know, a bunch of lore relevant characters and very hyped characters coming out. I mean, I can't really blame them when you have the likes of March, a Dan Heng SP, a Cyrene, who is an Elysia XP, a Phanon, who is a Kevin XP, a Cassie. I legit can't blame them, and in fact I made a video saying please give me a filler patch. I am tired of having to constantly pull these characters, and I guess they did. They finally gave us the Yunli Zhao Q equivalent in version 3, being 3.5 with Heistlands and Saridra. So just a quick video of pattern recognition man spoiling his findings, right? Sharing them with the world so everybody can be a little more enlightened. I had to put Nobara on the background here because I love her. I can't wait for the newer season of JJK to come out. I've loved this woman for so long, right? So, yep, Goon to Nobara. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.